Are you feeling overwhelmed with debt? Well, I know the feeling. I've been there myself. And in this video, I'm going to share with you the first and probably the most important step in getting out of debt. And that's assessing your financial situation. You got to know where you are in order to get anywhere with your finances. As far as I'm concerned, debt is a huge, frankly, pandemic. And there's a lot of people that have a lot of debt and they're just overwhelmed by it. And I know exactly how you feel. About 15 years ago, I was $50,000+ in credit card debt myself. And within 3 years, I was able to completely pay it off. And I've lived consumer debt free. I have not carried a balance on a credit card in almost 15 years. And it's absolutely worth it. I promise that if you figure out exactly why you want to get out of debt, and the why has to be big enough that you'll never get back into debt, then I think that you'll have a chance to be able to first get out of debt and then stay out of debt. That's the key here, is that I want you to get out of debt and then stay out of debt. So the first step is that you've got to really wrap your head around the idea that you are in debt. A lot of people just want to put it to the side, brush it under the rug, throw it in the closet, close the door, not talk about it. It's like debt is the name we don't speak at the table, you know. So it's important to really just get honest with yourself and realize that you're in debt and you've got to deal with it. The fastest way to fixing your situation is to see where you are and get real and get honest about why you're in debt and how much debt you have, and then move towards getting out of debt. Once you know exactly how much debt you have, once you know exactly and have a plan to pay it off, that should give some confidence and build some empowerment in you to be able to know that you can do it. Another reason why it's super important for you to make sure that you're actually keeping track is what gets measured gets managed. All right, so the first action step to take is to write down all of the debts that you have and get clear on who you owe money to. So you're going to want to write down things like credit cards, your student loans, auto loans, personal loans, your mortgage if you have one, any medical bills that you have, and then any and all other debts that you have. Make sure you write them all down, get clear on who you owe money to. And then action step 2 is to make sure that you write down the name, the amount that you owe, the interest that you're paying, and then the minimum payment that you're required to pay. If you list all of those things, you're gonna have a very clear idea of how much money you owe and to who, and then we'll total it all up. Now, I highly recommend that you use a spreadsheet for this. Otherwise, you just write it down, or maybe you have an app, a fintech app that you're using. My favorite app to use for this kind of thing, and one I'll put a link in the description to, is WizeFi. WizeFi is fantastic. It already puts all those debts in there for you. It already, puts down how much you owe, what the interest rates are, as you put in all the information, and it synchronizes it so that it's consistent and it's constantly updated and ready to go as you make payments. Otherwise, you'll have to keep track manually in a spreadsheet. Whatever you decide to do, do it. This is the important step. Take action. Write down who you owe money to, how much you owe them to, the interest rate, and then the minimum payment that you have. Another thing that I would add is making sure that you write down the due date of each one of those credit cards, because you don't want to pay them late and get into a situation where you now have affected your credit. Now, as I've already shared, once you get all this information, you want to add it all up. Get out your calculator, add up all the debts that you have. If you're in a spreadsheet and you know how to do the sum function, do that function and find out the total amount of debt that you have. Now, at first, it's going to feel overwhelming. You're going to feel like, oh my gosh, I have that much money I owe. It's never going to happen. You're going to start to feel things like, it'll never happen. I can't get out of debt. I'm too far in. Those are all lies that many people have told themselves over the years. I promise you that we can get you out of debt. I promise you that there is hope, that you can get out of debt, you can dig yourself out of the hole, so to speak, and then build a financial foundation and build a positive net worth. I promise this is going to happen for you if you take the action steps that I'm talking about in this video. So if it's hard for you to kind of see all this debt all in one spot, it might make it easier for you to realize that we're going to tackle the consumer debt first, and then we work on the car loans and home loans and other things later. Now, this next part I'm going to tell you is something that I've talked about a lot on my channel, and it's the importance of knowing how much money is coming in and how much money is going out, and making sure that you have more money coming in than how much money is going out. Or in another way is that you're spending less than you're making, so that you have a positive amount of money every month left over after you've paid all your bills. Now, I have an ebook that I've created. There's a link in the description below for you to be able to help you set up the most effective and efficient budgeting program. However, if you want to use an app, I recommend, there's tons of apps out there. I personally recommend WizeFi. The link is in the description below. The most important thing to do at this point, though, is to look at your budget. Really assess how much money is coming in, how much money is going out, and then get yourself to a place where you have positive income. You have more money to work with after you've paid all your bills. You still have money left over to work with, because that's the first step, by the way, to any degree of financial independence or financial freedom. You cannot have financial freedom, you cannot have financial independence until you have money that you can use to build towards your future. And that is how you do that with a budget. Now, again, click the link in the description below for my ebook. That is the premier way for me to share with you. I'm going to do a deeper dive on another video soon, so stay tuned. Make sure you hit like and subscribe so that you don't miss the video series that I'm doing on how to get out of debt, how to really dial this in so that you make sure that you get out of debt the most effective and efficient way. I'm going to teach you how to get out of debt in about half the time that it would normally take if you didn't have the instructions that I'm going to share with you. We're going to go through all of the strategies to get out of debt, and we're going to kind of give you the pros and cons. So make sure you hit like and subscribe so that you don't miss any of those videos as they come out. Now, I may do a whole video on this next part, but you want to know your debt to income ratio. And the debt to income ratio is critical for you when you're buying a house, when you're buying a car. The lenders are going to all want to know this information. So it's good that you're going to have this calculation up front ready to go. So let me kind of go through what it is or how you calculate your debt to income ratio. So what you do is you take your total monthly gross income, the total amount of money that you make. So read it off your paycheck, off your W-2. Your paycheck should have exactly what is the gross income, not the net, that's what you take home, but the gross income. And then you're going to take the total of your debt payment. So remember how I shared with you a couple steps ago where you wanted to write out who you owe, how much you owe, the interest rate that you're paying, and the minimum payment that is due. So that minimum payment, you're going to add all those up. And so let's say that you have a minimum payments between all your credit cards, your car loans, your home loan. Let's say that you have complete payments of about $1,500. If your income is $3,000 gross income, then you have a 50% debt to income ratio. That means that you're in a bad spot. You want to have a debt to income ratio in the 20s and 30s. Because that's the best, most efficient way to manage and maintain your debt and not get worse off and get further into debt and end up in a worse spot. So making sure that you know what your debt to income ratio is really important. You want to get that number down as low as possible. If it's high, if it's over 40%, you're going to want to really it's time for an emergency. Give me a call. We're going to need to talk if it's over that 40-50% range. We're going to really need to get you into some surgery, so to speak, to get your debt to income ratio down so that you can actually free up some cash flow and start to really build a financial future, a secure financial future for yourself and your family. I really hope that you take action on this video, that you gather up all your information. The first step to getting you out of debt is to assess your situation, to get all the information together. You're not going to want to miss the next several videos that I produce, as I'm going to talk to you more about debt freedom and creating repayment plans and which strategies to choose and how each one of them work and which one might be the most effective for you in your situation. So make sure that you hit like and subscribe so that you don't miss any of those videos. But between now and then, make sure that you gather all your information, gather in all your debts, gather in all your pay stubs, your income statements, gather in all your expenses, really dial in what's coming in, what's going out, and total up all of your debt, the total amount of debt that you owe, and then the total amount of debt payments that you have. And we'll see you on the next video where we're going to talk more about how to develop and create a repayment plan.